Welcome to Wildlife Yoga. I'm Jess and we have another prenatal class for you today. You'll need a pillow, some blocks or something that you can help lift your body up on, and something you can balance on. That can be a wall or a chair or anything that works well for you. So grab your mat and get cozy. We'll take some time circling our way, working through fear. Start by sitting really tall, finding that comfortable place. We're going to get right into circling by circling through the neck, opening up, breathing in and out as you move. Allowing the breaths to be nice and deep. And as soon as you're ready, you can start bringing your spine into the movements. So you can bring your rotations to be really nice big circles. Feeling the openness and the motions happening on your hips, making sure to go in both directions. I like to use my hands on my knees to help me stabilize as I circle through here. Just find what works well for you and just keep that circling going. Moving through the neck, moving through the spine and the hips. And then make your way all the way back up to a comfortable seat. We'll take some circles here with the shoulders, drawing the shoulders up and back and down. Inhaling them up and then exhaling them down. Moving forward. Keep that motion going. And then we'll go the other direction. So inhaling back and up and then exhaling forward and down. Might feel kind of weird to go back this direction. And then we'll reverse that one more time, coming back to staying nice and open, opening through our chest, finding some movement through the shoulders a little bit. And if you would like to, we'll take some circles with the arms as well. Moving the arms forward. You can start with the arms really little and do really tiny circling through the shoulders, or you can just start by making them really big. And then we'll go the other direction, moving them back. Maybe trying to open up through the chest as you go, and then as you move forward, rounding through the spine. So moving the arms, allowing your spine to round so you can open between the shoulder blades, and then let them come together so you can open up through the chest, finding that arching and then the rounding. Really nice. And then we'll just start to twist a little bit, just really gently, side to side. And remember, you can do this at any point during your pregnancy. The key here is to just listen to how you're feeling. Listen to how your body feels as you're twisting here. If it feels like too much, don't twist so much through your belly, and maybe just twist through your arms a little bit and your upper torso. If it feels really good to get really into it, then listen to that and do that. Really good. So as we're circling and moving side to side today, we are going to be kind of imagining that process, that cycle of fear. It is a cycle where we can feel fear and then we can start to feel comfortable and then we can feel fear again, and it kind of just comes and goes throughout life, but especially throughout pregnancy. And we're just going to embrace that cyclical thing that happens to us. Go ahead and walk your way onto your hands and knees. And with our circling, we'll start with just the pelvis here. So just making some circles with the sacrum. I'm really trying to isolate the movement. And notice my toes are tucked under here to support my hips. I'll just take those little tiny circles, making sure to go in both directions. Really finding some good movement through the back of the pelvis. Really nice. Then we'll take that a bit bigger and start to make circles with our belly. So we're inhaling and opening through the stomach. Exhale, rounding through the spine, as if we're drawing a really big circle here, taking our baby for a fun ride. And again, this is great to do at any point during your pregnancy. Just remember to listen to any stretching that's going on, backing off or going deeper if you need to. And we'll make sure to go in the other direction as well. Inhaling as you open through the front of the body. Exhale as you close. And one one more rotation and find your way back to center. We'll take our knees a bit wider this time, and we'll start to just make the circles really, really big. And if you maybe hear some crackling or some shifting and popping, just make sure you're listening to your body and not extending it beyond what you feel like it should be. And sometimes it can feel really good to let your hips come forward. Oh, get a little bit of a stretch in the front of the body, but be mindful here. Remember that as the belly gets bigger, stretching through the front of the body can become too intense. So only go as far as feels comfortable for you. Just a little bit. If you're further along, if you're still in the early parts of it, it's okay to stretch a bit more. Good. And then we'll come all the way back to center. Take your left leg out to the side. We'll take our left arm up towards the sky and then thread it underneath. Breathing out as we come through. Inhale, lift. Exhale, breathing out. And as we inhale, we're imagining bringing in new perspectives, new experiences, having a time where we're not feeling as much fear. And then as we exhale and come out, we're releasing it. We're bringing out our bodies, letting go of the fear that we might be feeling. And then come back to center, keeping that left leg out to the side. We'll take some hip circles again, just keeping the leg out, and notice just how it changes here. And maybe you're feeling a bit of activation through the right hip. Just try to push those right toes into the ground to help you stabilize. Keeping your breath going, moving in both directions, switching if you haven't done so already. And then we'll come all the way back to center. Keep that left leg lifted. Point the toes up towards the ceiling. And we'll draw some circles here with the knee. So bringing the knee nice and wide. Really finding some circling through the hip socket. Noticing what parts of the circle maybe feel good, and maybe some of them don't feel as good, and that's okay. Just being mindful of your body, moving in the way that your body needs. Really nice. And then we'll come back to center, take our knees nice and wide, and rest all the way back. Resting your forehead on the mat, and if you need to come up a bit higher, you can always have your hips up high and your chest down low. Just find a place of relaxation and rest. Go ahead and rise all the way back up. I'm just going to turn around so I can show the other side. This time we'll take the left leg or the right leg out to the side. And we'll extend the right arm up overhead. Inhale to open up to those new experiences. Exhale, threading under and letting go of fear. Inhale, opening. Exhale, letting go. Continue with your own breath. Noticing how it feels to have your leg out to the side. And then make your way back to center, keeping that right leg out to the side, and we'll take some circles here with the leg out wide again. Really feeling the difference here, pushing those left toes into the mat. Helping your left hip to stabilize. Going in both directions if you haven't switched already. And then we'll come back to center. We'll lift that right leg back, point those toes up towards the ceiling, and then take some big hip circles here. Moving the knee in both directions, all over the place. And then we'll come back to center. This time we'll keep the toes tucked under, we'll walk the hands back, bring the hands back to the back of the hips, And just gently stretch open, remembering to not stretch too far. Be really gentle with how far you stretch through your stomach. Really nice. And then we'll come on down into child's pose one more time, taking the knees nice and wide, big toes to come together, sit bones on the heels, walking the hands out, resting the forehead on the mat. Remembering that you can lift your hips up if you need to. And then from this child's pose, we'll walk our hands up. So grab your blocks or your support devices, whatever you're using, and we'll bring them up to the top of the mat here. And we'll just come to a kneeling position, and then however you can, we will just bring our right foot forward. So if you need to take a few steps to get there, that is totally okay. We're gonna make some hip circling here as well. And this time we're gonna allow our leg, our front leg, to hinge open. So hinging open onto the outer edge of the right foot. Making some big circles. And then move in the other direction. Finding any extra movement that your body is needing here today. And one thing too is, for some people, it will feel really good to have a block on either side of the leg, and that's generally earlier on in the pregnancy. If your belly is a bit bigger, it will feel better to have your right foot out a bit wider with your hands on the inside of that extended leg. Wherever you're at, go ahead and walk your hands or your blocks back, straighten out your right leg, point those right toes up towards the ceiling. Just for a half split. Really good. And then we'll walk our hands, our blocks forward, grabbing for that chair, moving it a little bit closer to you. We'll bring our hands there, and then we'll just slowly lift up, taking a couple steps forward to find a nice balanced place here. So with your left leg back, we'll put our weight into the chair and lift that leg up, and we'll just take some pulses here. And you can flex the toes, pointing the heel up towards the ceiling. Really nice. And then from here, we will just gently open up. So it is tricky to balance. We'll just gently open up, lifting the left arm up overhead, trying to open up the torso so it's facing the back. Keeping your breath nice and steady. And then keep that left leg lifted just for a little bit longer and take some little circles here, moving the hips however you need to. Going in both directions once again. Really nice. And go ahead and bring that left leg down. We'll work our way towards standing. You can still use the chair to help balance if you need to. We had the left leg lifted. This time we're going to use that left leg to help us balance, coming into tree pose. We have a few different options. You can have your foot down like a kickstand with your right toes touching the mat and your right heel on your ankle. Or you can bring it up to your calf or even up to your inner thigh. Whatever. I can't breathe right now. Whatever feels good for you and allows your hips to stay nice and square. So pushing into the ground with that left foot. We tend to maybe push a little bit into the left hip, and it's really tricky to balance when we do that. Try to lift up and stay nice and tall. And if you'd like to, you can bring your arms up overhead or just keep balancing with your arms on the wall or on the chair. Really good. Finding balance, I feel, is very similar to working through that circle pattern. Or if you can feel it, your foot is kind of constantly shifting to help you find balance. And that's just like in life and just with working through fear and the different emotions that can come up, especially during pregnancy. Good, let's go ahead and release that. Shake out the legs. And we'll just take a second to just shake out the whole body. And nobody's watching you. You're totally fine to do whatever feels good for you. Shake out the legs, let the arms go side to side. It just feels really good to let everything loose just a little bit, maybe bouncing, releasing any tension that maybe you were holding on to there as we were balancing. Really nice. And then we'll come all the way back down, and we'll do that really slowly, working our way through a half forward fold. And we'll just stay here with the hips pointed back, having your blocks nearby to help you come down. And we'll just paddle out the legs one at a time, letting the hips shift side to side. And then we'll come all the way down, coming back into our kneeling position. This time we'll take the left leg forward. Now remember, you can have your hands to either side of the left leg, or you can have them both on the inside. It just depends on what your body needs. And we'll take some circles here, remembering to allow your left foot to maybe move. It doesn't have to stay planted the whole time, to allow you some range of motion in your hips. And then we'll start to go in the other direction. Really nice. And then we'll take those blocks, we'll walk them back a little bit, hinge through that front leg so that the front leg is straight, the left leg is straight, left toes are pointed up towards the ceiling, keeping the left hip extended back so you can keep your spine nice and long. And keep your breath going. Allow yourself to stay nice and calm here. And then we'll walk the blocks and the hands forward, grabbing that chair once again, taking a couple steps forward with that right leg if you need to have a bit more space. And then we'll find balance here, lifting that right leg up, keeping the spine nice and flat, flexing the foot so that the right toes are pointed down towards the ground, the right heel is pointed up towards the ceiling. Really nice. And then we'll start to just take some little circles here, going in both directions. And then we'll bring our weight onto our left hand this time, moving really slowly and only moving as far as you need to. So if you're just here, that's okay. We're just opening up through the chest. If you feel like you can lift your right arm up overhead. Find something to look at that will help you balance. Try to keep that right leg lifted. Left toes are pointed forward. Keeping the breath nice and steady. And then coming all the way down. Coming back to standing, work our way back up to our tree pose. And this time we'll plant the right leg down. So the right leg that was lifted, we're gonna keep that planted. And then we'll either make a kickstand here with the left toes on the mat and the left heel against the shin, or you can have your foot on the shin or the inner calf or the inner thigh. Just avoid putting pressure directly on that knee. And work on finding your balance here, pushing into the ground, lifting up, not letting that right hip sag out to the side, but rather pushing up, and trying to find try to find some good balance. It can be tricky sometimes. And then feel free to keep your arms here or work your way towards lifting your arms up overhead. Remembering that just as we're working through the circling, the cycle of fear that might arise, we're finding balance here. Finding balance as we shift through all the different extremes that we reach as we try and balance. Really nice. And go ahead and gently release that left leg. We'll shake the body out again. Shake out the legs, shake out the arms. Let everything just wiggle. Let everything be loose and free. Releasing anything tension that was coming up for you. Really nice. And then we'll make our way all the way back down again. Again, working our way through a half forward fold. And then grabbing our blocks, coming all the way down onto hands and knees. And then we will go ahead and bring our knees nice and wide, keeping your hips high if you need to. Come into a child's pose. Taking a few rounds of breath. And then walk your hands all the way back up and make your way towards a comfortable seat. We'll start here with the soles of the feet together. If this is too intense for your hips, you can go ahead and grab a block or two or a pillow and bring it underneath your knees. What time are we at right now?
4.
Oh, I'm having such a hard time breathing. And with the blocks beneath your knees, we'll take some time to rub through the feet. Sending some love to your feet and appreciating everything that they do, all the changes that they're supporting. Our feet go through so much, especially while we're pregnant. And maybe while you're rubbing your feet here, we'll return back to taking some neck circles, going in all directions. Pausing anywhere that needs some extra special attention. Really nice. And then from here, we'll come into Janu Shirsasana, so varied. And remember, you can have your leg close to the front, so it's like a normal pose, a regular pose. If you have room to come forward and your belly doesn't get in the way. If your belly is a bit bigger, you need to move your leg over to the side, that is totally fine here. We're going to just focus on lifting up through the spine and then walking the hands forward. Finding a comfortable place to allow us to sink into the sensation in that left leg. As we breathe in, we can think about aligning and feeling into the pose a bit more. And then as we exhale, letting go and sinking into it, feeling it a bit more. Sometimes when we're working through fear, we sometimes just really need to feel what that brings up. And we don't need to hide and restrict those emotions or feelings that come up with it. And sometimes we just need to explore through them. And but to each their own. Everybody gets to decide how they want to do that. I find that breathing through some of those things is the best way to do it, no matter what direction you end up going. Taking just a couple more breaths. And then bringing your left hand down. Maybe you bring your left forearm all the way down. That's okay. If it doesn't come all the way down, you can just bring your left hand to the inside of your left leg. And then lift your right arm up overhead, reaching for the right or for the left toes. So right fingertips to left toes, side body stretch. And we'll come all the way back up, switching sides, bringing the right leg out, left leg in, extending the chest up, and then walking the hands forward. Taking those big deep breaths to help you rest into the pose a little bit more. Right toes are flexed, so that right leg is active. Keeping the spine nice and long. With every inhale, lengthening. And with every exhale, allowing yourself to come a little bit deeper into the pose. And then once again, we'll rise up, either bringing your right forearm down to the inside of that right thigh or keeping your palm down. Lift your left arm up overhead and reach those left fingertips up and over towards those right toes, breathing in nice and deep. And letting everything out on your exhale, sinking into the sensations. And then we'll rise all the way back up. Find a comfortable seat here and have support under your legs if you need to. If sitting in a cross-legged position is uncomfortable for you, then having some support here will help. If you would like to elevate your hips as well, that can help keep the spine in good alignment. So I'll just demonstrate that here with my handy dandy pillow I have. Sitting on the very edge of it, so my hips are just slightly elevated, and then the blocks underneath. This is a meditation, an active meditation called a keep up. And what we do is we do this motion here. This one we're moving our arms this way. And we'll do it for a period of 2 minutes. And the goal of this is to help us release fear and welcome the challenge. And so as we do this, we're clearing out our lungs, clearing out our heart of fear, and we're opening ourselves up to welcoming the challenge, welcoming the beautiful experience that can come, okay? So let's sit up really tall. We're starting the timer for 2 minutes, and we'll inhale the arms up so that the hands cross, and then exhale, bring them down. Inhale up and exhale down, trying not to let the hands touch up overhead. And we'll just continue this. Thinking about, as you're doing this, remember the breath is really important here. Inhaling as you come up, exhale as you come down. Feel free to make the breath as audible as you would like. And we're just releasing. We're releasing the fears that we've been holding on to. It's important to acknowledge the fears, and it's okay if they come back up after this. It's just very helpful and important to acknowledge that fears are part of life. They don't have to dominate our lives. They don't have to dominate our experience. And this is intense. It's intense to do this for 2 straight minutes, but you can breathe through this. This is about as long as a contraction would be when we're in active labor. And we can breathe through this. We can breathe through the sensations that come up. We're a little more than halfway there. And if you want to keep doing this at home, you can work your way all the way up to 7, maybe even 11 minutes of doing this straight. We'll just start with 2 minutes here. Keeping that breath going, moving as slowly as you need to. You don't have to follow my rhythm or follow my breath. Follow your own rhythm, follow your own breath. And then stop, bring an inhale, bring your arms all the way up overhead. Interlock your fingers, point your palms up towards the ceiling. And then bring your hands down into heart center. Take a few equalizing breaths. Shake your arms out. Releasing anything that was holding on there. And then we'll make our way towards Shavasana. So grabbing your blocks if you have them. If you don't have blocks to help you lay backwards in a reclined position and you are further along, I would encourage you to lay on your side rather than laying on your back. But each body is different, so just listen to what you need. If you are earlier on in your pregnancy and you can comfortably lay on your back, that's great. If you do have access to set up your blocks in the like fashion and laying a pillow on top, it can feel really, really nice to allow some reclining to happen without putting pressure on your spine and on your belly and your baby. Okay, so let's go ahead, and if you are laying this way, try to bring your arms out nice and wide so you can open through your chest. And with your legs, you can have your legs in a cross-leg position. You can have the soles of the feet together. This will open up the hips even more. The cross-leg position is kind of more mild in terms of opening the hips. Or you can just extend the legs out long. It's whatever your body is asking you for. But finding that place of relaxation, just begin to equalize your breath. Allowing your heart rate to slow down, allowing your breath to come back to a regular speed, a regular rhythm. Acknowledging the beautiful natural process that the breath is. And it's incredible because we keep breathing while we're sleeping, but we can also control our breath while we are conscious and awake. And when we breathe out and let the oxygen go, generally there's no need for a fear that we will breathe back in. We trust in our body's natural ability to continue breathing. And throughout pregnancy, throughout the laboring experience, if we can allow our breaths to be long and deep, filling up our lungs with fresh air and releasing the old air, will help bring calm and equanimity into our bodies. Whereas if we're holding our breath or breathing really rapidly and not getting enough oxygen, that's harder for our bodies to stay calm and relaxed. And as you're laying here, just think about your body being really heavy and supported and nourished. Every breath in is nourishing your blood, oxygenating your tissues, bringing in new and beautiful air. And every exhale, you're releasing that which you no longer need, just like working through fear. And take a moment to just scan through your body, releasing any leftover tension. Be tension in your mouth or your throat, tension in your eyebrows or your forehead, tension through the shoulders and the neck. Releasing tension along the spine and across the belly. Allowing the hips to be fully relaxed. Letting your legs be heavy. And wherever you're at, bring one hand to your belly, to your baby, and bring the other hand to your heart. And notice that there is a connection that pulses here between your heartbeat and their heartbeat. And use these next few breaths to send some love and gratitude to both yourself and your baby. And then slowly turn onto your side from wherever you're at, using the strength of your legs and arms to help you get there. And if you'd like to remain on your side for a little bit, you're more than welcome to. If you'd like to work your way towards sitting, use your arms to help you sit up rather than crunching through your belly. So use your arms to help you sit up. And we'll find that comfortable seat once again. This time bringing the opposite hand to your heart and then the other one to your belly, opposite of what you did while you were laying. And take a few more breaths in and out. And for the last few breaths, focusing on inhaling and bringing in peace. And audibly exhale, releasing any fear. Do that 2 more times. Breathe in deep. Releasing fear, breathing in peace. And releasing fear. And I hope that you can continue this process of working through fear, working through the cycles that come with pregnancy, the cycles of emotions, the cycles of change. And I wish the best to each and every one of you. Have a lovely day.